Today we will take an in-depth look at the Pontiac Fiero. As the golden spring sun drops below the horizon, I can't help but feel the wind rush through my hair as the world fades away into two things: my car and I. The first time that I drove this car, I fell in love with it immediately for two reasons. One, I've never driven a car that handles as well as this. And two, I feel as if I am one with the car whenever I drive it. I have learned a lot about my car during the past 3 years, and I have compiled research together for this speech. Today, I would like to inform you about the history of the Pontiac Fiero, the physical features that set it apart from other vehicles of the era, and the legacy that it still has today. First, let's talk about the history of the Pontiac Fiero. The Fiero began its debut with a rough start, eventually perfecting itself by the end of the 5 years it was made. According to Haggerty.com, the Fiero made its first appearance in the 1984 Indianapolis 500 as a pace car. This kick-started the model for two reasons. First, it caught the eye of car enthusiasts because it was the first mid-engine American car to be sold in the States. And second, it interested everyday people with its advertised 40-mile-per-gallon highway fuel efficiency, according to Classic Cars Wiki. Unfortunately, the 1984 model had catastrophic issues and created a reputation that plagued Pontiac until they stopped Fiero construction in 1988. The first issue that happened was the four-cylinder engine had an incredibly low oil capacity that, when depleted even further, caused the engine to blow its connecting rods out of the side, which in turn sprayed oil onto the exhaust manifold, causing a fire. Automotive News reports that 20% of all 84 models made started on fire. General Motors eventually recalled and fixed the issue, but it was too late because consumers were fearful that the 85 to 88 models might have the same issue. This led to a drastically lower amount of Fieros sold, eventually causing the model to be discontinued. Now that we know the history of the Pontiac Fiero, let's take a look at the construction and features. The 1988 Fiero had the best construction out of all the years they were made, so we will focus on that one. The 1988 2.8-liter V6 engine topped the 84 fire-prone 2.5-liter inline four-cylinder engine in almost every attribute, according to Auto News. The V6 had almost 50 more horsepower than the early four-cylinder. The V6 never had widespread fires, and the V6 had a nicer sound and looked more stylish as well. The 1988 model also came with suspension and braking not seen in the previous models, according to Wikipedia. It came with what some people called evolution suspension, which drastically improved handling and steering effort. It also came with vented brake rotors on all four corners, which helped keep the brakes cool in a demanding environment such as a racetrack. It's no question that if the 1984 Fiero hadn't had as many issues as it did, the Fiero would have lasted many more years and quite possibly be still produced to this day. Let's take a look at the legacy that it maintains to this day. It seems as though when you mention Fiero to someone, they recall knowing a friend or family member who owned one. A lot of people have very strong negative or positive views on the subject. For instance, one day I stopped at a gas station and had an older gentleman come up to me and say, "Wow, I thought all the Fieros were burned up. It's nice to see one still on the road." Another time, I was confronted by an officer who expressed his concern to me about the safety of my car. I assured him that the car was perfectly safe, having even earned a 5-star safety rating when it was made, according to Wikipedia. By the time I had finished showing the officer the car, he was undoubtedly in love with it and noted that he would like to buy one someday. The Pontiac Fiero has such a large fan base that the last one ever made was sold for $90,000 last year at a convention. The Fiero will always be remembered by different individuals as being a great car that could have been amazing, or a dangerous one that should have never been on the road. As we can see, the Fiero debuted with a rough start, causing quite a bit of fear towards the model. Thankfully, by the end of the production, the Fiero was developed into a high-quality, performing sports car. Hopefully, the Fiero's legacy will take a turn for the better and work past the fire hazard fear. At the end of the day, I love my Fiero and now understand what causes me to feel that way towards it.